The coronavirus has impacted Valentine's Day across China, with millions of roses being destroyed. Find out what the top gifts are during the outbreak. How many frontline medics are infected with the coronavirus? Is China telling the truth? Our exclusive report tells a different story than what the state media shows. And in an effort to stop the spread of the coronavirus, no cars are allowed to enter Shanghai, including ones originally from the city and ones on their way back right now. Arguments that the coronavirus is man-made has been deemed by many as a conspiracy theory. Currently, there is no solid evidence nor conclusions over the virus's origin. Nonetheless, a comment by China's former military scientist is sparking heated discussions.
Welcome to China in Focus. I'm your host, Tiffany Meyer. Today is Valentine's Day, but what is the best gift to give amid the coronavirus outbreak in China? At the top of the list, face masks. Following close behind are safety glasses to protect the eyes, as officials have said the virus can spread through eye mucus. And in third place are alcohol-sterilized cotton pads. And what about more traditional gifts like roses? A florist in Beijing said the coronavirus outbreak has slashed sales by 30 to 50%. Millions of roses were destroyed. This after the regime set up strict rules limiting people from going out in public. And in Beijing, according to Chinese state-run media, as of midnight on Thursday, there were only 3 deaths related to the coronavirus in Beijing. But on the same day, Beijing issued a wartime status, effectively shutting the city down. Many people have been wondering if the death toll was really only 3, why would there be a need for so-called wartime status measures in Beijing, impacting its 20 million people? And more inconsistencies on the number of cases inside China. On Friday, people started noticing discrepancies in the figures. At 4 p.m. Beijing time, Chinese authorities issued a statement saying the death rate was at 1,381. But 5 hours earlier, the figure was at 1,488. Netizens pointed out the discrepancies on social media, with one commenting that over 100 people had been resurrected. Later, Chinese authorities said some of the deaths were counted twice, but people were not convinced. A Chinese netizen commented, "They know that we know they are lying, so they are too lazy to put effort into their lies." Experts have long believed the confirmed cases in China are much more than what officials have released. The only disputed point seems to be how much more. The head of Taiwan's CDC during the SARS epidemics estimates that in Wuhan today at least 500,000 people are infected with the coronavirus. Now to another mega city of China, Shanghai. Beginning at midnight on February 14th, no vehicles are allowed to enter. This includes cars originally from Shanghai or those on their way back. According to a Twitter post, a shop owner in Shanghai said the market administrator closed his shop on Thursday and said the reason was to prevent the spread of the coronavirus. The administrator told him on Wednesday there was an outbreak in Shanghai with over 3,000 new confirmed cases. The administrator also told him this figure would not be made public. Also, this week was the first week millions of people returned to work across China. And China's leader Xi Jinping ordered local officials to return to work in an effort to save the economy. The measures of Shanghai is a way to push back against Xi Jinping's order. And now that the so-called wartime status has been implemented in Beijing, many netizens in China are discussing using Morse code to communicate in an effort to avoid censorship from Chinese authorities. The right side of this picture shows the Morse code. The left side is the decoded message in Chinese, which translates to freedom of the press, freedom of speech, and end the dictatorship of the one-party system. So what's the situation like inside Wuhan, the epicenter of the coronavirus outbreak? Posts circulating on social media show a job offer from a funeral home in Wuhan. This offer says urgent 20 mortuary transporters needed. The offer was for the late shift, midnight to 4 a.m., and was 4,000 yuan for 4 hours. The job offer also mentioned applicants must have no fear of ghosts. Many netizens wondered why there was that line, saying it seems to point to a lot more bodies than what the officials state. In another video circulating on social media, a mother and child are watching a car from their apartment. It seems it's a car from a funeral home. The child can be heard shouting in the video, "There are so many bodies in the car."
里面好多尸体。看到了，看到了。那个车里面，车里面。
Even outside China, people are suspecting the real situation is much worse than Chinese authorities have let on. In the U.S., the director of the CDC said the coronavirus is in no way under control.
Right now, there's no evidence to me that this outbreak is at all under control. It's definitely not controlled, and the sooner we can help them get it under control, the better for the whole world.
China has still not accepted the White House's offers to send in experts to help contain the virus. How many frontline medics in China are infected with the coronavirus? Our reporter talked to staff at a local hospital, and information they revealed paint a different picture than the state statistics. NTD Xiaohua Gu reports.
China's National Health Commission is saying by February 11th, over 1,700 medical workers nationwide were infected with the coronavirus. However, medical staff at Wuhan Central Hospital at the outbreak epicenter tell a different story.
I'm not sure about the specifics. Over 100 medical staff are infected. We have many patients. Our hospital is overflowing.
A nurse at Wuhan Central Hospital said on social media that 150 medical workers have been confirmed to have or are suspected of having a coronavirus infection. She says she's also infected. A doctor in that hospital told us it has about 2,000 to 3,000 workers, which puts the infection rate at least 3.3%. And they're not the only hospital that was hit by the disease.
Many medical staff at our hospital are infected, not only us, but also including Shanghai Hospital and many other large hospitals. The more patients they have, the more critical the condition, the more infected medics.
According to state media reports, there are about 188,000 frontline medics right now. An infection rate of 3.3% would put the infected health workers at over 6,000 in Hebei province alone, far surpassing the official numbers reported nationwide. Medical supplies are also in serious shortage, increasing the risk of infection. The medical staff told us protective gear is in serious shortage. One piece of hazmat suit is worn many times and it's disinfected with alcohol.
They also use ultraviolet light to disinfect. Some say the light is not powerful enough for disinfection, but clinicians do it too. Otherwise, they wouldn't have any protective suits at all.
At the city's number 7 hospital, 2 out of 3 of the staff working at the intensive care unit are infected. Lacking protective gear, medical staff are at huge risk of infection. At Wuhan Central Hospital, medical staff can't even go home as they are potential virus carriers. Reporting by Xiaohua Gu, NTD News.
Now to the coronavirus. As China struggles to cope with the mounting number of coronavirus patients, residents are trying everything to get one of the limited number of hospital beds available. But now the lack of transparency inside the quarantine hospitals has left some second-guessing their choice.
China's coronavirus outbreak is straining the country's medical resources, the lack of doctors and hospital beds leaving many patients without treatment. SOS messages are flooding China's social media platform Weibo, most begging for their sick family members to be admitted into the hospital. However, some say even after the patients were admitted, the nightmares hasn't stopped. Like this post, the person says that he has lost contact with his dad. The man's father was admitted into a quarantine hospital in Wuhan. A nurse called the person days ago, letting him know that his dad is in ICU, but since then could not be reached. The person later posted, "My heart is in suspense. I hope my dad can persist." In an interview with NTD, Mr. Pan, whose father was also recently admitted into the hospital, said he had similar experiences. He said when he accompanied his dad to the hospital staff took over the care of his dad but refused to let him go in.
I can't see what's inside. I can't see it. I wasn't even allowed into the hospital. I just went to the gate and they sent me back.
The hospital is completely sealed off and there's nothing he can do but wait for information.
They didn't give me anything. I don't even know my dad's room number. If the hospital needs something, they'll probably notify me. Otherwise, there's no way I can ask about my dad. I won't know how he is doing or how the treatment goes. I'm helpless.
He said now he can only hope things will get better. Reporting by Xin'an Li, NTD News.
Arguments that the coronavirus is man-made has been deemed by many as a conspiracy theory. Currently, there is no solid evidence nor conclusions over the virus's origin. Nonetheless, a comment by China's former military scientist is sparking heated discussions.
Recently, a 2018 Chinese TV segment has sparked discussion online. Chen Hu, a former official at China's 302 military hospital, talking about the possibility of using gene editing to create a super virus.
这些年来呢，我们经历过、看过很多大规模的疫情，像什么 SARS 啊、禽流感啊，甚至包括埃博拉。包括现在在南美流行的寨卡病毒，如果用基因编辑技术对这些病毒细菌加以改造的话，那么就可以生产出传播性更广而且致命性更强的超级病毒和超级细菌。那么这样的超级病毒和超级细菌，它的杀伤能力那真是可以和原子弹、氢弹，可以和化学武器相媲美。
The official said that if such technology went into the hands of bad people, it would be really dangerous. In recent years, China has become a world leader in genome editing. Dominance in biotechnology is explicitly called for in the regime's Made in China 2025 master plan. But how the Chinese regime uses such technology has raised some controversies. Last year, the New York Times reported that China has been using DNA to track its people and implement social control. Chinese biotech companies have also been found buying and investing in U.S. sequencing companies, which collect DNA from Americans. A China expert says the regime's human rights record raises concern about whether they can dominate such technology.
For a regime that has been lying to the international community, or for a person who has a terrible credit history, if such a person is working hard on something that can be used as bioweapons, would people think the person is trying to help humanity, or would people feel threatened?
He said the Chinese military has kept a keen interest in the research of biological warfare. Two former Chinese generals have said in their 1998 book, Unrestricted Warfare, that the media, cyberspace, and ecology all become future battlefield. Penny Zhou, NTD News.
And the White House economic advisor says he's disappointed with the way China is handling the coronavirus outbreak. He says politics should not get in the way of accepting U.S. offers to help.
The White House's economic advisor says China is not giving the U.S. complete information on the scale of the coronavirus outbreak.
The virus is contained in the United States. We don't know if it's contained in China. We thought they were tailing off in their head count. It turns out that might not be the case. So
even as the scale of the outbreak grows, the Chinese regime backs out of White House offers to send in experts to help contain the virus. Kudlow says this is a matter of public health and should not be subject to political squabbling.
We're a little disappointed that we haven't been invited in, and we're a little disappointed in the lack of transparency coming from the Chinese. You know, these numbers are jumping around.
The inconsistent figures coming out of China about the coronavirus are confusing U.S. officials and seem to indicate either inaccuracies in measuring or a cover-up. The health officials confirmed the 15th case of the virus in the U.S. on Thursday in a person under quarantine who was recently evacuated from China.
Global health authorities are still scrambling to work out who carried the coronavirus into the mundane meeting of a firm selling gas meters. It then spread to 5 countries from South Korea to Spain and infected over a dozen people.
A mundane business meeting at a Singapore hotel last month became an event that took the coronavirus global. Now the hunt is on to find who carried the disease to a meeting for a company that sells gas meters. The people there then spread it to 6 countries and infected over a dozen people. Experts say finding this so-called patient zero is critical for tracking down those exposed to the virus and stopping it.
So this is about contact tracing. We do feel uncomfortable, obviously, when we diagnose a patient with the illness and we can't work out where it came from. So therefore, the containment activities are less effective.
Fisher compares the hotel meeting to another so-called super-spreading event at a Hong Kong hotel in 2003. But while the WHO has opened an investigation into the Singapore incident, it says it's way too early to tell if it's a super spreading event too. Management at the hotel say they cleaned extensively and were monitoring staff and guests for infection, but did not know how, where, or when conference attendees were infected. The gas meter company says it immediately responded with self-isolation for all 109 attendees. 94 of them were from overseas and had left Singapore. But the virus kept spreading. One attendee from the UK headed to a French ski resort where 5 people fell ill. Another linked case then emerged in Spain. When the British delegate went home to the south of England, the virus gained further ground.
Here at China in Focus, we bring you first-hand information from inside China. Don't forget to subscribe for the latest updates.